the best in the world.
What I'd like to have right now.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Because I will fight for those that
Are you ready?
It doesn't matter!
I said, are you ready?
I'm a sexy beast, baby!
I was up all night.
And I'm
For Life Podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Cheyenne, along with the Bosch Man. Let me rephrase that. Slammy award-winning co-host, my man, just coming off the heels of winning a Slammy this past Monday night, the Bosch.
How's it going, everybody? Thank you, everybody that tuned in last week for our first episode from even international in Japan,
That's
UK,
right.
and in France. We hope we sound a lot better this week as compared to last week. We've upgraded to 2 mics. I've told my partner not to slam the table. I've moved my cup of water to another table, and we're good to go.
Good to go. All right. Congratulations on your Slammy win.
Thank
I saw
you.
your photo of you holding the Slammy. It looked fantastic. I'm sure that if you were given the time, you would have had an amazing Slammy speech. Maybe not as good as the closing Raw segment, but certainly up there.
Well, definitely. If you checked out the bonus episode this week, I
checked
did
it out.
give a Slammy
Yes.
acceptance speech, and I played the entire
Yes,
bus ride.
that's right.
What did you think of the bus ride?
That was fun. I was very upset I wasn't there.
I wish you were there.
I know,
You would have
I
been
know.
a Slammy Award winner as well.
I know. So one thing I don't have is a Slammy.
Real quickly, let's recap the Slammies. We'll make it a lot quicker than last week's.
Yeah.
Superstar of the year, Daniel Bryan, as we
Totally
expected.
deserve it.
Definitely.
And I didn't think he was going to get it, but it was totally deserving. I thought WWE... Well, honestly, if it was rigged, it would have been out there. But it was definitely fan voting, and otherwise, who's to say if it was a little bit more of a creative that he would have gotten it. But I think Daniel Bryan was just so deserved. It was hometown and clear-cut victory, and I think they were smart in letting the voting start the same day versus having a week open. But Daniel Bryan, congratulations to him.
All right, some other categories that were questionable. There was Match of the Year, which was won by The Rock and Cena 2. What do you think?
I thought, without question, that match was better than their first match because I felt like the first match Cena was carrying Rock. But can I say that's Match of the Year? I can't. Is it definitely a nominee? But I can't agree with that portion. Out of all what were the nominees for that? It was Punk, Triple H, Lesnar 3.
Yes.
Was nominated. Rock,
And,
Cena 2. Taker, Punk, right?
Taker and Punk, and Shield and Rhodes Brothers.
I would have gone with Shields and Rhodes. I knew that would not have won, but Punk Taker then I guess for me would have been the obvious choice.
That was what I voted for. Diva of the Year, the Bella Twins, who were booed out of the arena.
Yeah, which I thought, considering at least one of them had a little bit of a bye in that town, that was strange. But AJ Lee, definitely. That was a shocker. And if that was fan voting, again, that was a shocker. That's definitely a big reflection of the Total Diva show.
And I know Natalya was also expecting to win, and she was planning on giving a shout out to her uncle Owen.
Uncle Brett. Oh, to Uncle Owen. That's right.
2-time
She
Slammy
mentioned that
winner.
earlier.
She did come out and hug Brett when he was presenting the Match of the Year, and I thought it could have been a great moment, but the Bellas took it.
That's a big reflection on Total Divas, and that's a negative and a positive. So there's a lot of ways you could slice that.
All right, so on to that closing segment of Monday Night Raw, which we just saw to refresh our memory. Wow, that's all I can say.
I haven't seen the Slammies in their entirety. From the feedback that I'm getting, the award portions of the show were better than the actual in-ring content. That's the understanding I'm getting from most people.
I mean, it was set up pretty awkwardly where someone would come out, present the award, present the nominees for the award. The competitor of the next match would come to the ring. We would go to commercials where we would vote, come back, announce the winner as the contestants were standing in the ring, and then go into a match. The winner would come out and accept the award and then go into the match.
Yeah, that sounds terribly laid out. That is very awkward. For what I understand, the award portions of the show were better than the in-ring content, which you kind of have to have an even balance of both. I think the amount of awards on television was just right, but just the show's layout was a bit of a setback, it seems like, and definitely closing segment just overshadowed the whole entire Slammies period.
Yeah.
The biggest positive of that, again, buy the pay-per-view.
And that was my concern going in was, would the Slammies overshadow TLC, and would that be a good enough go-home show, and that segment saved it? Unfortunately, a lot of what came out of that segment will not be happening at the pay-per-view. The involvement of Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they're not wrestling tonight. Punk and Bryan are tied up in handicap matches.
I don't think that's such a big deal, though.
I don't think coming out of that segment, I wanted to see DX versus Daniel Bryan and CM Punk.
Understandably so, but I don't think that's such a big deal. I just feel like the segment was very well done.
No, it was terrific segment.
It's one of those things like the show would have been perfect had it been laid out better. Plus that segment, the closing segment overshadowed the Slammies for the most part.
Yeah.
Which is a negative and a positive in my eyes. But, I thought it was a fantastic closing segment. It's been way different than the last couple of Raws that we've been getting. And having so many different loose ends involved is what made it special. You're not going to get, DX versus the Beard and the Best. But, I was fine with that. It was an amazing closing segment.
I could say it's been the best physical closing since maybe the Nexus debuted. I can't.
Now we've had a couple good closing segments.
We had the Wyatts and the Shield. That was pretty good.
We've had a couple good closing segments since the Nexus to now.
Pipe Bomb wasn't a physical segment, but it was still.
Yeah,
really
we've had
good.
a lot of good closings from the Nexus.
That's the last one that was in my mind that sticks out.
No, Pipe Bomb.
As far as a physical segment.
Oh, in terms of physicality, yeah. Yeah, because all the last couple good Raw segments have not been physical. Even when you think back to 2 years ago, the Punk Triple H rematch, there's no words, just like the first one. So, yeah, okay, that's a fair thing to say. Nexus in terms of physicality, and thinking about that, like Daniel Bryan then to now, that's pretty crazy in itself.
Definitely. And so, as far as the other matches on the card, we have Daniel Bryan versus the Wyatts.
That's right.
The storyline we have going into this one is that the Wyatts are trying to recruit Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
I guess considering the level that Daniel Bryan's at and everybody is cheering for him during the championship ascension and everybody wants to see him in the title picture, this would have been a good feud at any other time, but it just seems out of place with everything that everybody wants for Bryan. It's a good for the time being while this is going on, but I see this feud ending tonight.
Well, this is what I like to call babysitting feuds. This is like something for you to do until whatever the next big thing is.
Like the hardcore Holly, Brock Lesnar.
Like this is just a babysitting feud. This is something for you to do until we figure out what the next big thing is. I know a lot of people are like, you can't have two handicap matches on the pay-per-view. I think that just adds an element of difference.
But there's two different storylines going in.
Right.
Kind of like the Shield. They're showing a little bit of dissension.
Yeah.
During the match on Raw, Ambrose and Punk. Ambrose wanted to do it on his own, and Reigns was kind of like, fuck it, go ahead.
One of two things are going to happen in the Punk match. Either Reigns is going to shine again, or we're going to see not a new push, but a new character get a little bit more minutes. Which I think is the right way to go right now.
Yeah.
We've been kind of getting too much Roman Reigns. Even if somebody steals the win.
Rollins.
Maybe Rollins. Or even if somebody gets physical with Reigns. That'll make them stand out. It's hard. Especially when you have three guys. It's not like when a tag
right now the dissension's between Ambrose and
Reigns.
Yeah. And Rollins is more on Reigns' side because they were tag champs.
Right, of course. But it's going to be interesting, especially having two handicap matches on the same show. And I feel like a lot of fans are like, you can't do that twice. You're going to see the same match twice.
That was my concern at first, but I think they both have two distinct storylines going into them.
Right. And a little thing that I'm actually surprised about, considering that he's had pretty decent matches the last 2 or 3 Raws, because his matches I have been seeing. Ziggler on the pre-show actually surprised me.
The way things are going,
Yeah, Ziggler on the pre-show surprised me. I honestly would have done like Ziggler Sandow on the on the TLC because they've had they had 2 street fights back to back.
Yeah, but then they had that match for number 1 contender for the IC title. So Sandow is going to be facing Big E Langston at the pay-per-view. What do you think? I think Langston's going to hold on to the belt.
You know what I think is going to stand out tonight? Not stand out, but I think it's going to kind of get people going like, ooh, this is different. I want to see. Earlier this morning, there was reports of Tons of Funk taking on Xavier Woods and R-Truth on the show being added. And I feel like considering the friction between Tons of Funk and what's going on with R-Truth and consequences, I think that's going to be like, oh, this is pretty different. I think that'll be good for Tons of Funk because,
I mean, I was a fan of Rotus when he was on NXT.
Oh, he was great when he was Del Rio's bodyguard.
Yeah, and then he was and then out of nowhere they brought him in as this character, and this character was fun. The kids love it.
Yeah,
my daughter loves it, but I think there's just a lot more use for him as like a monster heel.
I would have had Tensai turn heel and kick his ass ages ago, me personally.
Oh, Tensai's another one that came in with a lot of steam from Japan, and
that was the Tensai angle was really, really touchy for me because I was rooting for that, and that was just all booking. That was just all booking. You know, how many times does a new superstar have to squash a guy? I'm like so over that, especially because we grew up on that in the 90s. A new character debuted, it wasn't like he had a hard-fought match and he won, or he had a hard-fought match and he lose. He would squash a guy.
But it was always jobbers. Now they're squashing guys that are on the main roster. They're squashing guys that are...
I guess nonetheless, I'm just sick of that.
Former champions.
I'm just sick of that.
Like a guy wasn't coming in and squashing... Coco Beware or a Honky Tonk Man or one of these mid-card guys.
Right.
But...
Who did Tensai, I think, in his debut was like either Alex Riley or R-Truth, and that was at a time where Alex Riley had a lot of steam.
But he also had a win pretty early against Cena and Punk.
Yeah, but they weren't clean. And it didn't do nothing for him.
I mean...
So they're like, oh, Tensai's getting over. No shit, you're not booking him right. So we're going to switch him.
I mean, if you're paying me $500,000 a year, I'll dance around like an idiot.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, that's true, you know.
So, another match that was also announced earlier this week is a 4-way for the tag titles. It's the Rhodes Brothers versus the Real Americans versus Ray and Big Show versus... Who was the other team?
It's not coming to me right now.
Did I mention them all? Rhodes.
Usos.
Usos are in it?
I think it's Usos.
I think it's Rhodes, Big Show, and
Ray. The Rhodes Brothers. I think it's Usos, and I think it's We the People.
Real Americans.
I think, We the People. It's funny because that's the match.
No. It's not the Usos. It's Ryback.
Oh, is it?
Unfortunately.
I don't even know why they're a team.
I would prefer the Usos, but I
wish I did. That's a logical choice. Maybe that's why I said that.
I wish I didn't remember it was Ryback.
The thing with that is that's the match that's gonna. Those are the 2, 4, 6. Those are the 8 guys that are gonna try to steal the show. Because of the main event, it's going to be so hard for them to do. Definitely. They're going to have a great match, but, Cena and Orton, last show of the year, TLC, for the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship of Champions for the whole entire...
Well, it's also one match that you had some insight about before we started the podcast, AJ and Natalya for the Divas Championship.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about that before Conan does. So, it's reported that during the Tribute to the Troops taping this past Wednesday... There was an incident where television personality that I've never heard of, Michelle Beadle, I hope I'm saying her name right, was chatting backstage with CM Punk, who in recent months has been dating AJ Lee, and apparently AJ Lee went off backstage like her television character in front of WWE officials and executives and army men and so on and so forth. And apparently Michelle Beadle didn't say a word, according to a fan that wrote to her on Twitter earlier this morning. She replied saying, I thought it was a joke. And from what I'm hearing, AJ Lee will be disciplined for her actions. So if AJ Lee loses tonight, do not be surprised.
All right, and your prediction for the main event. Do we get a decisive winner?
My prediction is a clean finish.
And who do you think it'll go to?
Believe it or not, I'm actually going to go Orton.
Orton?
I actually want Cena to win, but...
I actually do too after that promo on Monday.
Yeah. And everybody's like, this can't be a hokey finish. I think Cena's the guy to do it. WWE put up a very interesting article about how WWE is going to change after this match. Number one, the WrestleMania main event is going to get clearer, which is pretty cool.
Royal Rumble winner.
Everybody else is going to have to rise to the occasion. There's several different factors, and then with one champion, a lot of guys are going to be going for it. It's unfortunate. It's kind of funny because we just got a new belt, and this kind of match to me just screams getting a new belt. That closing segment really sold pay-per-views to me.
Definitely.
I see this pay-per-view being very beneficial. It's one of the few guaranteed gimmick pay-per-views that WWE knows they're going to get buys out of. And
surprisingly, there's not that many. I think that's the only match that's involving tables, ladders, and chairs. There's no chairs, there's no ladders.
Which I actually think is good.
Yeah, because then it gets too gimmicky.
Yes, I actually think that's
let's
good.
have a chairs match or a ladder match.
Which to me is one of the stupidest matches ever. Chair match.
Yeah.
Wrestling fans, real quick, don't forget to check out Ace Championship Wrestling's next show on January the 18th. That's Saturday night, January the 18th, Redemption in Wallington, New Jersey at the Knights of Columbus Forum. Doors open at 7. Bell time is 7:30. $20 tickets, 15 in advance. All your favorite Ace Championship Wrestling superstars will be there, including my guys, The Movement, who tore the house down last night in a pretty good matchup. Ace Championship Wrestling, great promotion out of New Jersey. Be sure to check them out.
Alright guys, sorry for the technical difficulties there. We're back.
Now, speaking of movement, or lack thereof rather, total non-stop action wrestling. A lot of rumors have been flying, including the infamous one that's been going on for like 2 months now, that TNA is up for sale, which includes Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins possibly buying it. Separate topic in and out of itself. In any event, first thing that we're going to talk about before we talk about something that you guys are probably expecting me to talk about, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, the Executive Vice President of Licensing and International Television Distribution, Andy Barton, conducted an interview over the weekend promoting TNA's efforts in India. And to his credit, he did not sound like an executive. He seemed to be pretty knowledgeable about the product as a fan. He didn't sound like a suit, point blank.
Yeah.
And several topics came up, including this one. And the topic was wrestlers moving between WWE and TNA. This is Mr. Barton's response.
Let's hear it.
Well, it's something that depends completely on the superstar. In Kurt Angle's case, he has been with us for an equal amount of time that he was with WWE. Similarly, Gail Kim, too, was earlier with WWE, then made the shift to TNA, went back to WWE for a short stint, and has been with us ever since and has been one of our leading superstars. Such movements don't generally work for everyone. But if you take a look at our wrestlers compared to WWE, we are on the road more than them. So it's really encouraging for young talent that wants to be on the road for 300 days a year. And at the end of the day, it's all about promoting young talent for the industry and keeping the roster fresh to keep the audience hooked to the show. Let me break that shit down for you.
Okay,
They're
I want to hear
claiming
this one. Let's
that
go.
TNA is on the road 300 days a year, and they are encouraging young talent to be on the roster to keep the show fresh. This is the promotion that in the last 5 years has signed Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Sean Waltman, Chyna, Rikishi,
The Nasty Boys.
the Nasty Boys,
Val Venus.
Anyone else that was on the Hulkamania Australia tour. The best promo of that year when the Nasty Boys were there. The Dudley Boys. It was Bubba. He was going off. The Nasty Boys? When was the last time the Nasty Boys did anything? So, TNA claims that they are on the road more than WWE and that they encourage their young talent who they bury and have buried since Hogan has gotten there. Because, in all fairness, guys like AJ Styles, guys like Christopher Daniels, and guys like Austin Aries, in theory, are not considered young anymore.
I mean, younger than the rest of the talent.
They're the rest
that
of
we
the
were
roster.
talking.
They're younger than Jeff
Yeah, I mean,
Hardy's
but they're
himself.
I guess kind of like our guys. We saw them start up. I've been watching AJ since
Right.
TNA began. 12
I remember
years ago.
watching AJ and Daniels as jobbers in WCW.
Yeah.
And I saw their job matches on WWF Metal back in the day on Channel 55.
And I've been watching Aries and Samoa Joe
Right.
since Ring of Honor. And
Greatest TNA match ever is the Daniels, Samoa Joe, and AJ Triple Threat.
yeah, that was my favorite match ever in TNA.
That to me is the best TNA match ever.
Yeah.
It's nothing with Sting. It's nothing with Hogan. It's nothing with Hardy. And there are actually, because Angle, I can't say nothing bad about it.
Well, Angle's had a lot of great matches.
Yeah, and he was
especially with Joe.
Yeah, and I don't think he's the only guy that doesn't get in that Hogan, Flair, Sting realm. Like, Angle has benefited that company. He's delivered. He's worked with everybody. He put everyone that he worked with over, from Sting to AJ. So I can't say that. But I was just shocked and appalled that this individual had the balls to say that they're on the road more days than WWE and that they encourage young
That's
talent.
ridiculous.
Come on now.
Right? They've already shot everything until the middle of next month. That's on the road. They can't afford to go on the road.
They're going back to Orlando because they can't afford to be on the road.
Exactly. They can't even afford to be on the road as much as Ring of Honor.
They're not even selling out county fairs.
Exactly. Oh my god. All right.
That was just, I guess the term is irking, as the young kids say. That was something that was irking me, because
Not twerking.
how
but
dare
irking.
yeah, not twerking, but irking. Because even though they have Brooke Tessmacher who's doing the twerking gimmick, twerking's a gimmick now in wrestling, kids. I mean, she's lucky she's hot.
I mean, anytime anybody dances, JBL calls it twerking.
That's true. It's better than being called a Power Ranger by JBL. So little known fact. Now that you know, in wrestling history, things have changed. TNA is obviously doing something because they're on the road more than WWE, brother. So I just had to get that out. Second biggest information of the week, obviously, blows my mind. AJ Styles set to leave TNA pretty much eminently.
I mean, he's pretty much done with the company. They've shot.
They've already shot his
in.
last match, from
Yep.
what I understand. He had a farewell speech that will likely not air on television, from what I'm getting. And it's coming down to money. To me, again, even though I'm not a big TNA fan, considering, I mean, well, how can you be, considering the last couple of years? TNA, to me, has always been AJ Styles. AJ Styles has always been the face of the company. That is one of the guys that Jeff Jarrett and Creative always believed in. Do I think that AJ Styles has always been over-exaggerated? Absolutely. AJ Styles, if you watch his beginning career to where he is now, in terms of like the things that he was doing and getting credit for, he kind of ran out of tricks really, really fast. Not saying AJ's not a great performer.
I mean, he was. In 2002, I tuned in. I was this new wrestling company. It's on Wednesday nights. I tuned in. I thought he was, no pun intended, he was phenomenal. And it was great. Like, you had the old talent to bring you in, but it was guys like him and Daniels and all these guys that kept me there. But I mean, at one point, they could have been ready for WWE, but I feel like that ship has already sailed. They're already in their mid to late 30s, going on 40.
Yeah.
What would he contribute to WWE now?
That's, of course, the biggest thing that I haven't seen.
And he's not. And it's not like he's a big name in the industry. Kind of like when WCW went out of business, guys like Sting and Goldberg, and all these guys, Booker T, DDP, they made a name for themselves in WCW, and they were known when they came into WWE. Besides the little circle of fans that TNA has, who would know who AJ Styles is? And I mean, that's not knocking the guy. I've been a fan since day one. But what, like guys like Punk and Danny O'Brien, they were a lot younger when they came into WWE. They were in their mid to late 20s. AJ's 10 years older.
Right. I mean, just the fact that they are not taking care of their guy who's been the company and, has honestly been buried since the Hogan era.
Yeah.
Just really, really blows my mind. Would WWE ever use him correctly? We can argue about that for days. I think in terms of that discussion, we should end it at this. What if tonight at TLC, there's whoever it wins, be it John Cena or Randy Orton, and with no music, AJ Styles walks out at the top of the ramp holding the TNA the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I'm just saying, that'd be cool, that'd be different, and that'd be a big buy for Rumble. It will not happen at all.
I mean, I think we have a better chance of Jericho showing up tonight
exactly
and winning
because he's heading down. But I just think that right there, opening scenario, that's a fantastic way to go. But it's unfortunate, that it comes down to money. You should be able to pay your top guy.
Especially a guy like AJ who has given everything to this company since the first match of that company. And
Absolutely.
It's a shame. I mean, it really is that they don't put more focus on guys like we said, Daniels, Joe. Like it was built on the X division.
And it's funny because Kazarian, Daniels, and Aries are the guys that they've been shifting out. But AJ, for some reason, I don't know. And I know AJ had like that emo gimmick going on for a while, and I wasn't really about that.
Yeah. I mean, they were trying too much to emulate Sting.
Yeah, that was the impression that I got. But then again, there's a lot of
he was going to save TNA from Aces and Eights.
I mean,
but then,
for Christ's sake.
I guess it was unfortunate that everything happened with Angle. He had to go to rehab. They kind of hot-shotted it and just made him...
there's no original... I mean, for Christ's sake, they did the Little Nate angle with AJ and Flair.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying too hard to replicate WCW, and unfortunately, they're replicating everything that put them out of business.
Who can forget when Angle and AJ and they had the screw job angle?
I mean, that screw job angle's been done how many times?
But it was done right. It was like beneath TNA to do that.
Yeah.
Like when WWE did it, they did it the next year with Rock and Mankind, and then they did it with Shane and Shawn Michaels. That's it. Plus, like the gaps were different, and it worked. It was fine. It was beneath TNA to go to that formula when that happened, and then having Hogan out there just didn't help presentation-wise. So yeah, I don't know when TNA's next pay-per-view is, so I'm not going to promote them like I did for TLC or for the Ace Championship Wrestling.
How many are they down to? They knocked it down to 4 a year. I mean, even...
I don't know when their next television special is, their variety show, if you will.
Those television specials are so out of date. At my job, I actually had to review one of the latest one, which was the World Cup.
Oh, yeah. Which is a great concept.
It was, but considering that card had Mickey James, Doc, Evilise, I think about half the roster, Kenny King, half the roster is no longer in TNA right now. They still had Aces and Eights. They still had Anderson in Aces and Eights leading the group. Yeah. And it was just a bad idea to shoot all these shows at the beginning of the year to air throughout the year, because now it's December and you have half the rosters no longer
I just feel like you got a better chance.
Like they had shows with RVD while he was in WWE.
Right. You got a better chance buying WWE 2K, downloading TNA guys from Community Creations, and booking your own damn show and putting it on YouTube.
Pretty much.
That's the best way I can put it. So, Total Non-Stop Action Wrestling. I don't know when their next show is, and even if I did, I wouldn't promote it. Coming up next, I don't know. We'll be back.
Folks, and we're back. We've pretty much recapped a lot of what's going on in the wrestling world this week. We don't have...
It's been a dull week.
Yeah, we don't have...
It's been really dry.
Slammies from decades ago to talk about, so...
And Vince didn't come out with Hogan. Jesus!
Well, I guess one topic I noticed on Twitter this week, Piper has been lobbying to be a part of WrestleMania 30 this year.
Rightfully so.
He said, and I quote... The 30th anniversary of WrestleMania without Piper is like Christmas without Santa Claus. I don't see why they couldn't bring Piper in. He's done Piper's Pit in the past with Austin. He did it at WrestleMania 5. Maybe we can do like a Piper's Pit with some of the legends, or maybe just even if it's just Hogan, that could be a way to bring Hogan back, like we discussed last week, and have Piper and Hogan, maybe Vince. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I actually just got one. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but Piper was at one point talking about having one more match. He was at one point talking about having one with Vince. You know, I always believe that a wrestler is totally deserving of having a last match. I always believe that it should be a one-on-one. I mean, hey, it's WrestleMania. Why don't you do 5 legends against 5 of the young guys? That's one way to do it, because that gives the young guys airtime. Legends close out. The obvious choice is Hogan to close. He can't work that well, only because of his body. You know, obviously, let's not put Snuka back in the ring. That's number one.
So, what legends would you book? Piper, Hogan.
Piper and Hogan are the obvious choices. Then you kind of have to shuffle through WrestleMania. First of all, just for the super. Michaels is not going to be on my list. Michaels is done. He's not going to wrestle again, and if he ever does wrestle again, it shouldn't be in that scenario. Especially since, if you do the lineup, that's not his era. I mean, I guess you could do, Steamboat again, if you want to go that route, only because he can work.
I mean, there's so many guys that
even
are...
though Brett can't be touched, so if it's an elimination match, he's got to do what he did at SummerSlam, and get DQ'd out. You know, it's tough for Brett.
I mean, you have guys that...
Randy Savage, unfortunately, that would have been a cool time to get him back in it.
Warrior?
I was just going to say.
I mean, he's the only guy that I can think of that's still in pretty good shape that hasn't been in a WWE ring. And
that's a draw in itself. You know, Hogan and Warrior on the same team for the first time since 90.
After that shoot interview, I don't know.
Oh, wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I think we have to rule Warrior out of that. Definitely not Bruno.
Who's there?
No, that's me. Definitely not Bruno. Booker doesn't fit that lineup. You can't see Foley wrestle again. You know,
and Foley's not part of that group. I guess what do you have Slaughter,
Backlund,
Duggan.
That's got to be different. We always see Slaughter and Duggan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And they're going to be there all weekend anyway. You know, Lawler. That's actually cool to me. You know, give Lawler a win. You know. You know, actually would have been cool for me.
Yeah.
Even though you're not getting Luger.
Luger?
Luger would have been cool for me.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, he's in a wheelchair right now.
Oh, man, I got it. Page, Hall, Roberts, Hogan, Piper.
What?
Yeah!
With Nash on the outside.
Why not? I mean, it sucks because Nash should wrestle too, but, I mean, do 5 and 5. You want to do 6 and 6? Fuck it.
Okay.
What WrestleMania was that where they had 12 guys in the ring and the match blew and then Eve Torres took the whole thing?
All right, so what 5 young guys would you pick?
Cesaro, Swagger. Those are the 2 obviouses for me. Those should be the
Ziggler.
top. If Ziggler's a heel, sure. And I honestly think the whole thing should be led by Ziggler and Miz collectively. Sandow's actually another. I think that's it right there.
I mean, as far as
I
guys
think we named
that
our 5.
those are guys that are talented that probably won't have any big singles runs going into Mania.
True.
That should be on there.
I think that's a good. I think we just booked a decent match right there. 15 minutes. Then at the end, Hogan comes in, brother, gets his $50K, and that's it. I think I would like to see Vince wrestle again.
That would be an interesting one.
I mean, I don't know about it being at WrestleMania, but I mean, if Vince wrestles again at WrestleMania, he has to wrestle somebody current. I wouldn't want to see Vince and Piper because Vince and Piper's.
I mean, we saw Vince and Punk about a year ago.
That was a cool thing. It wasn't like a Vince McMahon match like it normally is.
Yeah.
But I would like to see what match would have been good in 2003, like a match. Lesnar Vince would have been great.
Did they fight?
They had that thing in the cage.
And
then Lesnar turned heel on Angle. Remember, Angle was the ref on the SmackDown.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, they didn't fight. But I think absolutely, Roddy Piper's totally deserving of being on WrestleMania 30. I think a Piper's Pit is fantastic. I think a Hogan tie-in is fantastic.
Even if they don't do the match, even if it's Hogan, Piper, and Vince interrupts, I can see Vince interrupting.
Yeah.
They're arguing over who.
I don't think Vince should get. Listen, you know what?
No, I mean,
Vince should not get beat up at WrestleMania 30.
Not beat up, but just they argue over who.
Hogan's gonna level him. Come on. Piper's gonna level him. I don't think Vince should get hurt at WrestleMania 30.
Vince.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be against it because
Yeah,
God bless him, even though everybody thinks he's a jerk. But
I mean, any guy that would put. I mean, look at what he's put his body through.
Like how can you say what people say about Vince McMahon and then look at what he does on television?
Yeah, like he's had shit poured on him. How many billionaires let tons of shit?
I'm going to put it to you like this: Vince McMahon let shit fall on him. Okay, Eric Bischoff had to get talked into doing the angle where they put his head up Big Dick Johnson's ass. Eric Bischoff had to get talked. He wasn't going to do it.
I mean, Vince
He had to get talked into that.
Didn't Vince have his own son's head shoved up his own ass?
He got his head shoved up Big Show's ass.
I mean, hands down, you can't say anything negative about Vince.
The only guy that would do that stuff too is Heyman, but Heyman's been in and out, and Heyman doesn't have to be in those crazier situations.
And neither does Vince. Vince can sit in his office, collect money, and let everybody else do the work for him.
Also true.
I mean, if it wasn't for the McMahon-Austin angle, like, where would the WWE... that was the basis of the Attitude Era. It was him getting his ass kicked by Austin. He could have sat back and said, no, I'm too old for this shit. I don't need to be getting hit in the head with chairs and falling off
who's
cages.
to say that we wouldn't have seen... who's to say that we wouldn't have seen Brett Vince had Brett stayed? So that crappy match that I'm never going to say anything positive about. Just can't.
I think everything in that match was good until the bell rang.
Yeah. Yeah,
well, even the reveal was a little weak because
it was good to see my man Bruce Hart out there.
I mean, these Hart, like, I think Brett's reveal was just a little weak. Like,
yeah,
us Harts stick together. And unfortunately, the only Hart with personality is Owen.
Bruce Hart. I'm sorry,
Owen
and Bruce.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I'm the biggest Bruce Hart fan in the world. I love Bruce Hart.
I mean, I can't hate on Bruce.
Bruce Hart.
I actually have a Smith Hart story. Since we have plenty of time left on the podcast.
Go for it.
I was at a Legends of the Ring convention last year.
Okay.
And I was going to go take a picture with New Jack.
Oh, wow.
Who was a surprise appearance. So,
okay.
I mean, I didn't recognize him at first, but Smith Hart came up and wanted an autograph of New Jack.
Okay.
So New Jack's agent kind of told me, hey, just stand aside, let him get an autograph first. And New Jack's, no, he has to pay. He's going off about how this guy has to pay. And I guess the guy whispered, that's Smith Hart, that's the oldest of the Hart brothers. Uh-huh. So, I just found it funny that he was going to go off on Smith Hart.
I find it funny that he wanted an autograph.
It was just a weird story, but yeah.
That's like, did you ever hear about steel horsing?
No.
Come on. You've got it. Okay. This is like 2 years old. But
refresh my memory.
I don't remember the guy's name. One of the guys' names was something Steel Horse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Apparently, the person that was going to wrestle Mr. Steel Horse was trying to work out the match. This is, of course, an independent thing. Was trying to work out the match with him. And Mr. Steel Horse was not cooperating, was on his phone, being distant. And they started working the match, and Steel Horse, in the middle of the match, left the ring and called the police on his opponent.
Was his opponent New Jack?
For trying to harm him in the ring.
Was his opponent New Jack?
So if you leave the ring and call the cops for your wrestler hurting you, that's called steel horsing. It was a big thing in like 2012, like that.
Was his opponent New Jack?
No. It was like two.
Another interesting story from that evening. Around that time, I guess New Jack had beef with Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys.
I've heard that, yes.
So when I was standing by New Jack when he found out that Brian Knobbs was there, and I turn around and I see New Jack with these blades sticking out of his hand like he's fucking Wolverine. Grilling Brian Knobbs.
What?
I love New Jack. Anyway, with this unification match coming up, we can discuss some of our favorite title reigns of either title leading into this match. And I mean, I know what might be some of your obvious, but
just real quick, WWE did their top 10 video on YouTube, and they put the greatest unification match of all time, Jericho Austin, and I agree with that.
Definitely. I mean, I just remember as a fan, I was excited to see Jericho get an opportunity to just have the title and run with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the angle leading into Mania completely sucked. I mean, I thought they had a lot to build on just with Triple H coming back from the injury, but it's another story for another day.
The match that I'm surprised wasn't on that list, because when you think about it, that's what it was. Shawn and Razor.
Yeah.
In theory, is a unification match.
I mean, I didn't.
That wasn't on the list.
I didn't check out the video. Was it just the heavyweight title?
No, it was. They even had a match that I was surprised was on there because it's one of my favorite matches. They had the unification of the NWA television titles. They had Nikita Koloff and Terry Taylor on the list, which is an excellent match, and the crowd went nuts when Nikita won.
I mean, I guess with the Shawn Razor, it wasn't. It was more like Shawn was stripped, but he didn't want to get rid of the belt, rather than there being two champions. I mean, I completely agree. I think that should be.
They had. They even had the Dudleys versus the Hardys from Survivor Series 2001, from the Alliance Survivor Series. I mean, I think which was a great match.
I mean, I'm not taking away Razor and Shawn should be on there. That's one of the matches that made me a fan, but that beats me.
They had Flair Sting. From when they had the thing when Flair came back, and then they had the two NWA championships going on.
Yeah,
they had that. What else was on there? Top of my head. They had Edge and Test, U.S. versus the IC champion.
Interesting.
That was on there.
But as far as like just individual champions, what did some of your favorite reigns or championship reigns?
Well, I mean,
that we can discuss.
I can't say all of Flair's reigns were great because I think like the last couple ones they did really, really terribly, creative wise. But Flair's like 3rd through like 7th world title reigns were great. Those are like just literally magic. Like there was just nothing wrong with those reigns. You know, there were some in between moments, like I think it was like his 6th or 7th reign where he lost the NWA title to Sting and bashed at like the Great American Bash. There was a lot of crappy stuff going on in WCW then, like with the RoboCop thing, and they had Flair feuding with Elegante. So yeah, like you know, Flair in terms of world title reigns, you know, most of them were fantastic. The reigns 3 through 7 were probably the best. You know, because there's 16. I really enjoyed Cena's first WWE title run. Yeah. If you want to talk about that, I enjoyed the story behind Orton's first title run. It was only a month.
Yeah.
But you know, the story behind it was great. You know, the magical moment because he out of nowhere. Because like when you think about it, at that time,
I mean, nobody was. I wasn't. I was shocked.
Absolutely.
I missed that SummerSlam pay-per-view, but I remember somebody calling me and saying, "Hey, Orton won," and I was excited because I was a huge Orton fan during his earlier years. Let's see.
Edge's first WWE title reign.
Yeah, that was amazing. Only 3 weeks, but
just the thing of it.
Yeah, I loved it. And let's see, Shawn's first title reign.
Oh yeah, of course.
Definitely. I mean, just everything leading up to that was just so well done.
Randy Savage's first title reign.
Winning the tournament, just the arc leading into the following year's Mania. That was like the seeds were planted at WrestleMania 4. Just a little glance he gave Hogan, and you knew it was going to lead to them a year down the line. And I mean, it's a shame they can't do stories like that now. JBL's title reign.
Oh my God, was JBL's reign so good?
It was amazing.
JBL's reign was so
just the
good.
fact that he won the belt. Nobody saw that. Like Bradshaw winning the title, but he knocked it out of the park. I mean, I was upset. Like, okay, speaking of JBL, he beat Eddie. Just Eddie's first title win was just inspirational.
Also, and it was a great run, and I think it had just the right amount of time.
Yeah, like
I didn't want Eddie to hold the belt forever, but I think it was like just the right amount of time. I think Eddie could have gotten the belt more times after that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Another title run that was
out of respect. We'll put Bruno on there.
I mean, we weren't around for that one.
No, but it was, it's impressive, being champion for 7 years. That's incredible, even for that time period. That's incredible. I enjoyed Taker's world title reign after he beat Batista. That was great.
Yeah, that was pretty
good.
If
you want to do, left field. You know who I enjoyed as Intercontinental Champion? I enjoyed Shawn Benjamin's first reign.
As Intercontinental?
Yeah. I enjoyed his first reign. I enjoyed Jericho's, his last 5 of the 9 IC reigns. Fantastic. What else was there?
Well, we're forgetting to mention CM Punk's.
Oh my God! Yeah.
WWE title.
I'm sorry. I take that. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as great as it was, I just feel like it could have been so much better just because I felt like he was so overshadowed most of the time where Cena was closing out he didn't main event any of those pay-per-views until he fought Cena or unless Cena wasn't on the card. I mean, I feel like a lot of it he was overshadowed by Cena or Rock or all these other Cena storylines going on. And I mean, I was happy to see him be the longest reigning champion of the last 25 years.
He was still having the best matches.
No, yeah, definitely he was still having the best matches. I just feel like... And I feel like a lot of the creative put focus on the fact where it's like, you're not main eventing, you're not closing the show. Cena's closing the show. Cena.
Sorry. A reign that I think we're forgetting, Brock's first WWE title reign.
Yeah.
Was fantastic. From that, it was short also, but that was a good
But it was
reign.
just, I mean, a lot of what made these reigns good also just the build to them and just the build leading to Brock Lesnar defeating The Rock, where it was just like he just came in with just such steam behind him. And,
whose reign was really, really good? When Orton finally got the WWE title back in like 2009 or so, when he had just won it for the first time in a minute, like Triple H or somebody got injured, and it was like in a September show. And, Orton hadn't had the belt in a while.
Okay.
The beginning of the age of Orton.
This was 2007, the day before my
21st
right. birthday,
yes,
No Mercy. That's the only reason I remember.
You're right.
I'm surprised I remember anything that evening, but it was, Cena was injured on Monday Night Raw after he had a pretty lengthy title run.
The pectoral tour.
Yeah. He had a title run that lasted over a year. Sorry. And it was the pay-per-view where the belt was awarded to Orton. He lost it to Triple H. Triple H defended it against Umaga in the middle of the show, and then lost it to Orton in the Last Man Standing match, which was great. I just remember, and then I remember Shawn Michaels came back the following night on my birthday, and I mean I really enjoyed that title reign, and I think for the following 2 years, Orton was on fire, even leading into WrestleMania 25 with the feud with Triple H. I know the belt changed hands a lot of times during that era, but.
My favorite Bret Hart reign is his fifth one, his last one. I think that was his best one when he was a heel.
Yeah, that was great.
His best title run, and I think a reign we're forgetting about. Austin's first run was incredible.
Yeah.
Austin's first title run was incredible. Going back to other title reigns, Steve Austin as the United States champion was fantastic. I also enjoyed when Vader was the World Heavyweight Champion in WCW.
Yeah.
A reign that never gets credit. Rick Rude as the World Champion in WCW. Fantastic. He was busting his ass. I like Sting's reign after Flair left. That was pretty cool. It was nice. It was different. Reign never gets credit. Warrior's reign was cool.
Just the fact that he won both.
It was cool.
That was another. Was that on the unification? Was that a unification match?
It wasn't
on
the list.
2 belts on the line.
It wasn't on the list. There were 2 belts on the line, and that shouldn't count only because Warrior dropped the Intercontinental title after that. I don't know what happened. Actually, I can't remember if they just vacated it or whatever.
Didn't they have a tournament?
They didn't. I honestly don't remember what happened.
I mean, that was a bit before my time, so I don't.
Yeah, I don't think they had a tournament for that.
I know. Wasn't Perfect the next champion?
Yeah, the gap between Warrior and Perfect is a blur. For some reason.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Perfect was the next guy. And that was the first of, 2 IC reigns?
Yeah, because I know he lost it to...
Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah,
and then he lost it to Brett. And then he lost it to Brett, and then Brett lost it to, Mountie. And then Mountie got it from Piper. Piper's Intercontinental reign was cool, just for the fact,
he finally won a belt. Yeah.
The greatest Intercontinental champion of the year 2006 was Ric Flair. Sorry, just saying. How can you not? The whole angle was cool. That's not bias. The whole angle was cool. His reign, at that time when the short title reigns were starting, I think he had the belt for 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's decent. It's half a year, and considering that it was Flair at that time, it was cool. I liked Carlito's first U.S. and first IC title runs.
I thought those were cool because he won the U.S. title on his debut against Cena. And he did the same thing again on his first night.
With Benjamin.
Yeah.
With Benjamin.
Sorry, guys.
Believe it or not, this is actually on my top 10 for my favorite title reigns ever, and I get a lot of shit for this. Stephanie McMahon's women's title run.
I thought it was well done. I mean, not every champion has to be a Bret Hart.
Like Hervina, one of the greatest women's champions of all time. Hervina.
Definitely.
Hervina, fantastic.
I enjoyed when Shawn won his last world title at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that was just. I
mean, it was cool because I was there, and it was his comeback, and it was nice to see him win the title one last time. Even though after that he didn't really need the title after that.
Yeah, like a lot of people say, I can't believe you're only champion 3 times. And it's like, he did. Really.
I mean, he didn't need it. Kind of like Taker. Like, you don't recall Taker being champion 25 times, but
he's the man.
Yeah.
Like Hogan, too, when you think about it. He's only been a champion, I think, 8 or 9 times. No, actually, Hogan, I think, is like billed at 10 or 11 for some reason.
I mean, because WCW, that shit went back.
Well, he has the record for the most WCW title reigns, and I think it's like 5 or 6.
Really?
Yeah, for WCW title reigns, it's actually him.
Because Flair was more NWA.
NWA, and then, first of all, Flair's 4 short on the record books, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Hogan, and he's also the longest reigning WCW champion, actually, Hogan.
Hogan?
Yeah, he's actually the longest reigning WCW champion. Well, I just had one. Shoot, I just had it. It left me.
Triple H's first title.
Oh my God, was that so good? Triple H's first title reign was amazing, amazing, and Triple H was legit the most hated man in wrestling.
And I wanted him. I mean, I was disappointed he didn't win at SummerSlam, but it was great seeing him win it the following night on Raw. I mean, I guess with Jesse Ventura as the referee, it was going to be hard to put a heel over.
I actually don't mind that he won it at Raw.
Yeah.
I just recently finally got the chance to see his Blu-ray. It didn't look like he was bothered by it, but you could tell it was like he went back in his mind. It was like that was supposed to be the night, but hey, I won it. I just feel like that was a great reign. I think it was better for Raw.
A reign that was ended by none other than
who was that? That ended with Vince, right?
Vince.
Yep. Vince ended it. And like that wasn't a great Vince match because he got his ass beat.
Yeah.
And then that was Triple H got it back, and then Show got it. I thought Show's first reign was good, but that was kind of like a CM Punk thing. They weren't having a main event.
Yeah.
Like I remember,
I think you
at
fought
that Armageddon,
Boss Man.
Well, the feud was great. The Boss Man. Big
I'm
Show
just remembering that one scene at the feud.
Big Show getting carried out in the damn casket.
Yeah.
But I remember as a kid, like, is the Vince Triple H match really bigger than the WWE title match? Because at that time, that was different.
Yeah.
That WWE title didn't close.
Oh yeah, because it was always a closer no matter what. So it was rare to see.
I'm going to shoot you with one. Should Rikishi have been WWE champion that year?
Maybe during the time where he was revealed as
that's what I'm saying. Should he have been during that time?
I mean, they could have given him a brief little run. I mean, he was in the WWE for years with all these different gimmicks. I mean, I thought he could have had a good little run with. I mean, they had it on Angle at that time.
Yeah,
because I know he was in the
Angle
Armageddon.
Was the guy that time, and Angle walked out with it. That was right after Angle won it at No Mercy. I remember watching that, and I was shocked that Angle won it.
Yeah,
it was like, wow, he's only been here a year. It kind of took me back to when Taker won it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal too. You could thank Flair.
I mean, that one only lasted 3 days?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 days, and they put it back on the Tuesday in Texas show, which was super weird.
Yeah. I mean, are there any guys that you think, speaking of Rikishi, I mean, are there guys that you think should have been WWE or heavyweight champion that were never given that opportunity?
Oh, hell yeah, man. I got a list that goes for days. If we talk about the 80 time period, who's to say Kurt Hennig and Rick Rude should not have been WWE?
Definitely, though. I mean, maybe now.
To me, those are the top 2 guys.
Yeah.
I know Piper. Like, Piper's not my number 1 pick. He's like my 3 or 4.
I mean, he could have been like kind of like a JBL, like a good heel champion. Or what about Jake the Snake?
Jake Roberts might have been the WWE champion, but here's my kick with that. There's no way that he could have been WWE champion while Hogan was there.
Yeah.
Hogan would have had to have been on one of his breaks at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan would have had to have been shooting something, something. It's easier for a heel to do it.
Maybe Jake as a heel.
Oh, well, they were going to do it, but then the crowd was cheering for Jake. You know that story.
Yeah.
They were going to have the Jake Hogan feud. Was Jake going to win? Probably not, but for the 90s, Owen.
Yeah, I think especially during the time that he was feuding with Brett.
Yeah. Believe it or not, Shamrock.
Yeah, I could have seen that.
Shamrock. I don't see why Ken Patera couldn't have been a WWE champion in the 70s.
Yeah.
I don't see why Don Morocco couldn't have been WWE champion in the 80s. Then if you go to like World Heavyweight for the NWA, well, when you think about it, that belt was spread out a lot more because Flair wrestled everybody.
Yeah.
But Terry Taylor, who's to say why he couldn't have been World Heavyweight champion? Thinking more NWA guys that could have been world champion. Arn any of the Horsemen. Arn and Tully were never world champions, but Flair, Barry, Luger, and Sting were.
Yeah.
Who else is there?
Do you think Luger, in '93 when Luger was on fire in WWE, do you think he could have been a good champion?
I don't think he should have won at WrestleMania 10. Believe it or
Maybe
not.
at some. Do you think he should have won at SummerSlam?
SummerSlam. Absolutely.
But I heard it was a lot of backstage issues. I mean, he was supposed to win it at WrestleMania, but then lose it to Brett that night. Was that
the story behind that was that Luger was never supposed to win at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He was never supposed to win at that WrestleMania. I know that.
I mean, I thought he looked ridiculous celebrating at SummerSlam after a count
not winning,
victory.
and then Bobby Heenan's going, "That's not right. He's out. He's not getting up." But the story goes that at one point the discussion was, "We're going to have you win at Mania because it'll be bigger."
Yeah.
I don't know what celebration would have been bigger than the SummerSlam one that year, but that was the plan. At some point, it was known to Lex that he was not going to win at WrestleMania 10. Probably because if you look at what happened to Lex from SummerSlam to WrestleMania 10, they weren't really treating him right.
Yeah.
The Royal Rumble win was what resurrected Lex, the double win, which was the first time they ever done it. So, of course, they could have had fucking Billy Gunn do that, and whoever would have done that with Brett would have been, put up. But, yeah, I mean, Luger should definitely win at SummerSlam. Why he didn't, I actually don't know that. I actually don't know the story behind that. Maybe Luger's book covers it.
Yeah.
Because Luger's book just came out, and I want to pick that up.
Yeah,
but Luger should have totally won. Paul Orndorff, another guy who could have won. They did the double cage angle. That would have been cool, too.
What about Lawler?
What, is WWE champion?
Yeah.
Lawler would have had to be Brett.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. Lawler would have had to be a Brett, and I think that's tough because Lawler too could have beat Brett at SummerSlam '93. When you think about it,
Yeah.
So then, when was he going to beat him in your house, right?
Pretty much.
I think that would have actually, considering the era and how WWE was doing for business, had he won during that in your house period, that would have not been good.
Yeah.
So that's kind of tough to pinpoint the right time. I think if Lawler been an ECW champion, that would have been cool considering the angle they were running, the invasion.
Yeah, that could have worked
That
at
could
the
have
time.
worked
Yeah.
at that time too, because I don't know. A lot of people don't know about. Have you ever heard about McMemphis? That angle?
No.
Well, the WWF guys were going to Lawler's territory in Memphis back in the '90s, and they had Lawler was taking on Savage, and Vince was the heel, the main guy. It's on YouTube. There's a whole playlist for the whole feud, and there's even one where Vince has the Memphis Heavyweight title,
Wow.
with the blue blazer with the WWF logo on it, and he takes the blazer off. He's like, "Oh, you haven't heard that Jerry Lawler lost his title the other night?" And it's the Vince that we know now was happening 5 or 6 years earlier. It's really cool to check out, and Pat Patterson gets involved at one point in the angle. If nobody knows about the McMemphis angle, YouTube it.
This is why I love my co-host, because he has this history of wrestling.
Yeah, you got it, man.
That I don't even know about.
There's
And I take pride in how much I know about wrestling, but he puts me to shame. He knows about wrestling from decades before we were born.
There's even a Superstars.
Just putting you over.
Thank you. It's about time. No. There's even a Superstars where they do the King's Court, and Vince is the guest. And Lawler's the face, and Vince is the heel. But because they're used to Lawler being such a jerk, they're booing Lawler. And it's not getting over with the WWF crowd, but they shot it
in
for
Memphis.
They shot it for Memphis. But Vince is getting cheered. He's, there's tons of guys. Every wrestling fan has their different picks. There's some unanimous ones, like an Arn Anderson, like a Ricky Steamboat, like a Kurt Hennig, like a Rick Rude. Ricky Steamboat, I don't think would have ever worked as a WWE champion, though. That's my opinion.
Just, yeah, I mean, and maybe the character wasn't good, or just the fact
Well,
that
the way that WWE morphed it with the big suit thing, I think that was another detriment. I think Kerry Von Erich could have came in at the right time.
Oh yeah, he definitely had the look.
He was one of the guys that everybody knew who he was. I rewatched because I got the classes on demand until they cancel it. I rewatched one of Barry Windham's first matches in WWE as the Widowmaker, and they make it seem like Barry Windham was supposed to feud with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
So that would have been cool too. Anybody that would have taken the title from Hogan at that time, it just would have been huge. But there's tons of guys, there's tons of lists, you know.
Well, I guess that's what made Warrior was he was the guy that
well, I mean,
cleanly took it off Hogan.
Yeah, because, you know, that's the thing. Savage didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they...
And that whole angle on Saturday night's main event,
right.
It wasn't clean. So, I mean, Warrior was the first guy to cleanly beat Hogan for the belt.
That's, and, in the WWE, it's funny, like, nobody's ever beat Hogan clean for that belt, when you think about it. Because you go back to, when Savage got it, he didn't beat Hogan, right?
He won in a tournament.
Right. So
and when Andre got it, it was the bogus
Saturday night's
ref.
main event thing. So, like, if you think about it right now, Warrior gets a clean, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The next one is Taker, interference with Flair. The next one after that is Yokozuna, interference with the photographer and the fireball. Then you fast forward 10 years later, almost Taker again, and it's Vince. Like, he's never been beat
for WWE. Yeah, for WCW he has, but not WWE. WCW.
You can't count the Sting win as a clean win.
Luger.
When did Luger beat him? Oh, that was clean. The Luger win was clean. When Sting turned heel, though, that wasn't clean because Luger helped him.
I don't think I was watching at that time.
No, I just remember it happened on Nitro. What else was there? Who else beat Hogan for it? I think after that, though, he never had the belt again, so it doesn't even matter. But, yeah, like, that's something that, like, just blew my mind. I never even realized that's the saying. And, like, Hogan never got beat clean.
Yeah.
That's protection.
It's ultimate protection.
Yeah, like,
no pun intended.
Wow. Well, I mean, everybody's got, we got the... Why don't you shoot him the email address real quick?
What?
Shoot him the email address real quick.
All right. If you want to email us, it's let's just spell it out.
Yeah.
IV. lifepodcast@gmail.com.
And why don't you guys email us? Who do you think should have been... I'm going to... if anybody's listening from Australia to wherever... I got one for you. Why don't you email me the person that should have been the world or WWE champion from every decade? We'll just do 80s, 90s, and the 2000s.
Or you can hit us up on the Twitter. That's IV Life Podcast. Same thing on Facebook. You can just look us up, like us, become a fan. I'm all over the place, even on Instagram, For Life Podcast. So you can hit us up anywhere, and we'll respond. We'll put it on the air, whatever you guys like. We're here to entertain you guys.
We're very friendly to our fans, and I'm friendlier to my female friends. So if you're out there, and if you're between the ages of 20 and 30, Space Mountain, I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about. Between the ages of 20 and 30, you can hit me up on the social media, and I'll get to you. All right? That's a guarantee. Okay? Just put that out there. Gotta, promote myself in other ways sometimes. Promote my junk. And folks, we're going to take a quick Kit Kat break right now. When we come back, we're going to close the show with what? I honestly don't know, but I honestly don't care.
We're winging it, guys. It's
really a wing. It's been a dead week in the wrestling world.
We're calling it in the ring.
It's been a dead week. We're going to segue now with another song. I don't know what it's going to be because we're obviously not in the post-editing, but I'm going to request that we segue with this song, the Red Rooster theme, for Terry Taylor. That's my request.
Only for you, Cheyenne.
Thank you. Hey guys, this is Cheyenne for the For Life Podcast. When you listen to your podcast, you listen to it for life. We support indie wrestling. The stars of tomorrow are performing for you today on the independent professional wrestling circuit. So go to your local gymnasium, your local recreational center, your barn, your parking garage, anywhere. Support independent professional wrestling. The stars of today are performing for you right now. Support independent wrestling.
All right, and we're back. Before we go, let's just give some last-minute predictions for TLC, which is tonight at 8 o'clock on pay-per-view.
5 p.m. Central.
You can actually check it out. If you're in New York and locally, you can go to, I forgot the name of the place. It's Tapa's Bar and Grill on 50th Street and 10th Avenue.
Are you going to be signing Slammy autographs?
Unfortunately, no.
No? Okay.
But Sonny will be there.
Sonny will be there, that's right. So.
Another Slammy Award winner for Best Buns.
Ooh, man.
All right, so tonight, pre-show, Ziggler, Fandango.
I'm going with Fandango.
I'm going Ziggler. Who's...
Fandango.
Neither of them have really done much lately, but...
I'm punching my movie tickets for Fandango.
Both of them were the stars of the Raw that I won the Slammy for.
That's right.
Tag team titles, Rhodes Brothers, Real Americans, Ray and Big Show. Unfortunately, not the Usos, but Ryback. So.
You know who I'm actually going to go for? Even though it hurts me to say it?
Who?
Ray and Show.
I'm
going to go with Ray and Show.
I think they just have nothing to do, so they're on the show.
I think they're just going to fucking swerve us, so I'm going to go Ray and Show.
I see the Rhodes Brothers holding on to the titles.
That's what I want, but I'm actually going to go out the box for this one.
All right, let's see. Big E Langston versus Damian Sandow.
Damian Sandow.
I think Damian would be a good Intercontinental title. Just he reminds me of like an old school Intercontinental champion.
I'm predicting him, but he's not going to win.
It would be nice.
It would be cool. No, it actually wouldn't be because Big E just got it. So
yeah, that's the only reason I see him holding on to it for a while.
I think Big E's going to win, but I'm going to go Sandow.
Let's see. There's the Divas title. Predicted Natty.
I'm going to still go with AJ.
I'm
going to still go with AJ, believe it or not. Contrary to what's going on, I'm sure she'll be punished for whatever the incident actually was in tribute to the troops, but I think tonight we're going to go with AJ.
I'll go with Natty just to spice it up a bit.
Okay.
Let's see. Handicap match number 1, Bryan and the Wyatts.
I'm actually going to go for the Wyatts because I feel like they need to win.
Definitely. And Punk and the Shield?
I'm going
to go with the... I'll go with the Wyatts, but there's just 3 big guys against Bryan. I don't see Bryan.
The Wyatts need the win.
They need it. I don't see Bryan winning.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Punk and the Shield, unless they're teasing more dissension with the Shield, that's the only way I can see it. Just because the Shield has been teasing dissension, that's the only way I can see they fight amongst each other and Punk takes advantage. The big one, unification, TLC, Cena,
undisputed champion of champions of the entire wrestling world. I'm gonna go Orton on a clean finish.
I'm gonna
go Orton on a clean finish.
I'm gonna say Triple H. No, honestly, I can see Orton winning it just because he doesn't have as many title reigns as Cena.
Oh, he's got 9.
9.
That's a lot.
And Cena's at 13?
Yeah, but 9 is a lot. Treat it like it's a lot. Don't buy the crap that they're feeding us. 9 is a lot. Sting had 9 WCW title reigns, and nobody even knew that until he joined TNA. Sting's like a 13-time champion now, in theory.
I think so is Angle.
Because now they all count. You can't do that.
I think Angle is too, then. You count all his TNA title reigns? Shit.
Yeah, he's 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they even put it, I know when he came out with his DVD a few years ago, it was already at 11 or 12, so he should be at 13 now. So, but I'm going to go Orton, clean finish.
All right.
All I know is that I will say to WWE's credit, if we get a false finish tonight, I think it will actually make more sense than the other ones. That's what I'll say.
I think everybody's expecting a false finish, so we might actually get a real one.
I don't think so after the Raw segment. I think everybody now is reassured, okay, somebody's going to win on Sunday, but I wouldn't put it past WWE. If WWE gives us another hokey finish, I think it will build to a bigger picture, and it will make more sense. Do I think the live crowd will be pleased with it? Absolutely not. Where is the show tonight?
Jericho T is going to Houston.
Going to Houston. That should be a good crowd. Texas is a great wrestling city.
Orton? All right, I'll go with Superman. I'll go with Cena. Anyways, folks, we'll see you guys next week. We'll see
next week.
What happened at TLC. We'll recap TLC. Maybe something interesting will happen on Raw.
Maybe.
We've had a good string of Raws after the pay-per-views being pretty good.
Yeah, those have delivered.
So we'll catch you guys next week. Maybe something will happen in TNA. Probably not, but maybe NXT.
Maybe NXT.
And next week, I know you guys are probably wondering, who the hell are these guys? So next week, we'll get into how we became wrestling fans. That should take up the next one.
And we're going to quiz each other, and I'm going to prove that I'm just, more knowledgeable than this guy.
You are. You're going to win that one. That's not fair.
We should start doing call-ins and have people. Can we afford that? Can we afford call-ins? Do we have money for that?
Unless you guys are willing to pay. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good
Enjoy
night.
TLC.
You always were there, always beside me. Holding my hand every step of the way. Through these eyes you could do no wrong. In these eyes you were brave and strong. In my heart those days live on.